Oh, okay. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, Gilda. Hello, Sandra.
How are you doing there, Sonia?
Hi, Sonia.
Thank you. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for all your support.
Interesting process, isn't it, Sonia?
Yes.
I think my watch is saying it's time.
Uh-huh. Oh.
Evaluator isn't here. Mr. Holmes.
Oh.
Yeah, you might have to take over, Holmes. I don't
know. Apologies. I think I just let in a note taker. Should I boot it out?
Yes.
Sorry, I just realized I didn't see the end.
Robin's note takers, there are two of them.
Yeah.
Robin.
Yeah, no, I didn't let in the other one. But I'd already clicked on one.
No, they're both in.
Oh.
Wait a moment.
So Holmes, are you there? Are you going to take over the SAA? Evaluator's not here.
One moment. Irene, Paramjit, can you take over for a while? I don't have the background with me right now.
Maybe I can do. I hope my background is not old.
There you go. Yeah, wonderful. Thank you, Leah.
All right. Welcome, everyone, to Leadership Speak on this 6th of September, 2025. And just before we get started, just want to read this out because our meetings are recorded and live streamed to our YouTube account. So by attending this remote meeting event, which is also live streamed on YouTube, you agree to the privacy policy of Toastmasters International, as well as the unassociated remote hosting service. Some of your personal information, such as name, image, and any shared message, will be recorded. Your remote attendance hereby discharges Toastmasters International and Leadership Speak and any other members from all claims, demands, rights, promises, damages, and liabilities arising out of or in connection with the use of distribution of said video recordings, including but not limited to any claims for invasion of privacy, appropriation, or defamation. With that being said, I'd like to officially call this meeting to order, and I would like to invite our Toastmaster of the day. Apologies. I'm sure she will introduce herself to all of you all. She's a very lively person. I'm sure she'll tell us more about herself and the theme of our meeting today. Over to you, Madam Toastmaster of the day, Sandra.
Thank you. And I guess we're getting the recording started as well. Thank you. The introduction that Evaluator had, and I'm sorry that she's not here, is that our Toastmaster of the day is known for blending straight talk with a spark of humor, reminding us that leadership doesn't have to be stiff to be strong. She's a professional trainer in communication, a seasoned leader, and someone who believes courage is what turns ordinary moments into defining ones. Please help me welcome our Toastmaster of the day, the Queen of Straight Talk, Sandra Valks, DTM. And thank you so much, Leah, for doing double duty. A special thank you to Irene and Nellie behind the scenes, and for Leah for doing the greeting as well as the SAA. Welcome to our special guest. If you would be sure to sign the guest book, it'll be there in the chat. And if it's not there right now, it will be shortly because I don't do chat well at the same time. I'll be looking for that help because nothing happens here alone. So make sure you sign the guest book, and then our president will be able to follow up with you and some of our members. So sit back, enjoy our meeting. I am absolutely thrilled to be your Toastmaster of the day, and our theme, the courage to lead. And in a deeper, truer sense, really finding the inner courage to lead. In reality, leadership doesn't wait for perfect, thank goodness. Actually, it waits for courage. Good morning, afternoon, evening, fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guest. When we find that inner courage to lead, we discover that leadership doesn't begin with a title or a corner office, not even with a perfect plan. It really begins the moment you choose, when you choose courage over comfort. Every leader faces uncertainty. You, me. The difference in how we face that uncertainty is how we choose to respond. Courage brings the strength to make hard decisions with integrity, because people follow leaders who stand firm in truth. Courage is a voice that speaks when silence feels safer, and it is the step forward when hesitation holds others back. As Toastmaster of the day, I can't lead this meeting alone. Every speaker, evaluator, timer, grammarian, guest, each of you has a role in shaping how this meeting will unfold. This is definitely not a one-woman show. This is a team effort. And what's worth noticing is that this didn't just magically come together. This meeting has been in the making for more than 2 weeks. Roles were filled, agendas were planned, details were set. President Holmes and all his trainers were on hand and stepping up. That is leadership too. Think about the timer holding us accountable. The grammarian needing the courage to point out what we didn't want to hear. And the things we do want to hear, like using the word. Evaluators must balance encouragement with straight talk, and our speakers are the heart of the meeting. Each one has chosen courage over comfort simply by stepping up. Courage looks different for each one of us. For some of us, it's standing at this lectern with our heart pounding, our voice shaking, and still speaking. For others, courage is daring to use humor, even if it doesn't land sometimes. And sometimes courage is simply showing up after a long day, being fully present and willing to grow. Whatever courage looks like for you, understand that it matters to this club and it matters to your journey as a leader. What has you reaching deep for your inner courage? Is it standing at the lectern, this virtual and still intimidating lectern? Is it giving deep and meaningful feedback with honesty and kindness? Or maybe it's simply raising your hand to volunteer for the next role. Through Toastmasters, and especially here at Leadership Speak, we practice that courage. We build self-awareness, we clarify our values, and above all, we stretch. We stretch well beyond our comfort zones. The fun part, if you wish to engage, is we get to do it together with lightness and laughter so we can soften all the stress. You'll hear different voices, different perspectives, and different leadership styles throughout our meeting. That diversity is our strength, because leadership is not a solo climb. Leadership is a shared journey. So as you take the stage, each of you, I invite you to connect with your audience, connect with your message, and connect with your own inner courage, because when we choose courage over comfort, we discover the power of connecting with others all along the way. We are going to hear now from our toast. Looking forward to hearing from Phibian. Phibian is an accomplished Toastmaster with over 4 years of experience, currently serving as the president of the legendary Toastmasters Club. He believes that if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. And this conviction fuels his relentless pursuit of excellence in communication and leadership skills. The theme of having courage to lead resonates deeply, as he once faced a leadership role where finding the courage to guide his team was difficult due to his own low self-esteem. Here with our toast of the day, Phibian Joseph. Phibian?
Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers, steady yourself. Keep going. That is where leadership begins. Those words rang through me, though I didn't realize it until I faced my own leadership test. I was fresh out of the University of Guyana and was given a management position with no experience and no training. I was terrified I'd fail or that my team wouldn't respect a 25-year-old boss. On the first day in that role, I remember addressing my team and no words were coming out of my mouth. All of them were looking at me for guidance, but I was just very afraid of failing. I felt completely out of my depth because I was facing colleagues that were twice my age. And soon enough, unfortunately, a problem arose that I had no idea how to solve. And every instinct told me, Phibian, pretend you have it all under control. But that little voice in my head whispered and said, just steady yourself and ask for help. So I took a deep breath in and I admitted to them, I don't know. What do you think we should do? And one of the older colleagues said, boss, we got you. I was so amazed because it took courage to admit I did not have all the answers. But once I did, I felt a weight lifted off of my shoulders and real trust began between me and my team. Before that day, I thought that leadership meant having every answer. I tried to act the part even when I had no idea that what I was doing. But I learned that true leadership rests on something deeper. The quiet courage to listen instead of pretending, to adopt instead of resisting, and to rise again after mistakes. And that quiet courage is what makes leadership possible, flexible, and resilience. Not the loud, showy kind of bravery, but instead the kind that grows trust and builds strength. Ladies and gentlemen, as we reflect on the courage to lead, let's not only honor the bold act of bravery, but also the quiet courage that steadies us in moments of doubt and guides us through sessions of uncertainty. Ladies and gentlemen, please, let's unmute your mic. Turn your videos on if you can. Let's raise our glasses to quiet courage.
To
Cheers.
quiet
Quiet
courage.
Courage.
Cheers. Quiet courage.
Is
Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Wow. I'm just taking that in because that was really heartfelt and so true. Just remember to ask. People have your back. I know if I mess up here today, people will say, that's just Sandra. Okay, we'll got you back. No problem. So thank you very much for that, Phibian. I want to now introduce our timer for the day, E.J. McDowell, who says the courage to lead is the small step you take before you realize your own strength. The small step you take before you realize your own strength. And here, raising her virtual hand to keep us on time, EJ, please tell us what you're up to today.
All right. Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. Good day, fellow Toastmasters. I am your timer for today's meeting. I will time each speaker according to the agenda and signal using virtual background colors. Green, yellow, and red. After each segment, I will post the timing results in the chat. Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. Madam Toastmaster, back to you.
Thank you so much, EJ.
You're welcome.
And our grammarian today is Sonia Mendel. We've had a pleasure of meeting each other as I have with every one of the role players today. Well, except the evaluators. It says that while pondering today's theme, Sonia sees leadership as a balance of courage and agility, daring to move forward while adapting to challenges. Daring to move forward while adapting to challenges. Sonia, can you tell us what you're going to do today for us as grammarian?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Dear fellow Toastmasters and guests, as grammarian, it is my responsibility to pay close attention to all speakers and listen to their language usage. I will take note of any improper language as well as any outstanding words, quotes, sayings, and thoughts. As grammarian, it is also my duty to introduce the word of the day. For today's meeting, the word is agility, which means not only the ability to move quickly and adapt with ease, but also the quiet inner courage to stay centered and steady while navigating change. An example of using the word is true agility isn't just about reacting fast. It's about having the quiet inner courage and to bend without breaking, to step forward with grace, even when the ground feels uncertain. Each speaker is encouraged to use the word of the day. I will give the grammarian's report when called upon during the meeting and also report on the usage of the word of the day. Thank you. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Wow, that is beautiful. That's, I think, the first time I've seen a grammarian presentation that was also a mini speech, which is really great. So thank you for your agility in adding that. And now we're going to move on to our presentation, our educational keynote presentation with Gilda Shah. Our courage, says Gilda, is what transforms our decision into action. Courage enables us to push beyond our fear and our self-doubt and become resilient in the face of changes and challenges. The good news is we can easily develop our inner courage. This is exactly what our educational keynote speaker is all about today. Gilda Shlah has discovered her own inner courage through my unforgettable experience, she says. One she will share with us to listen up as we hear Gilda share All you need is courage. All you need is courage. If we can get Gilda spotlighted, please. All you need is courage. Gilda Shlah, welcome.
Today, I want to ask you a question to challenge your perspective. What holds you from unleashing your true leadership power? Is it your fear? Is it your self-doubt? Is it the uncertainty you surround yourself by? Whatever it is, I want to assure you of this fact. This obstacle is not coming from the outside. It's built within you. The lack of courage, the lack of inner courage is the only obstacle that prevents us from standing up, making the tough decision as leaders, and lead with conviction. But hey, I am here today to deliver good news to everyone, because courage, that inner courage, is something we could develop if we follow the 3 steps. I'm gonna mention them as their priorities. Before we lead, or when we are approaching to lead, we need to know the purpose of our leadership. We need to ask ourselves this question: why are we there? What are we supposed to do? The first priority question we ask ourselves is purpose of our leadership. Next, we ask ourselves, are we going to be able to be ourselves? Are we going to be able to bring our true self, having our values and principles intact? Are we going to be authentic? The next step is authenticity. The third and last is our ability. Always ask, am I able to face the hardship, the uncertainty? Am I able to make the tough decision? Am I able to create the comfortable, the positive environment for everyone around me to achieve the success of the individual, my success as a leader, and the success of the goal, the common goal for everyone? A trust of our ability. So the 3 steps are purpose, authenticity, and trust of our ability. I will go through them as their priorities by sharing with you my own personal experience and story. I divided my story into 3 segments. And every time I share with you a part, I will jump into how I was helped by a friend who was a Toastmaster and connected to leadership speak. I started my first job after graduating from university, working as a computer programmer with one of the oil companies, doing programming for production department. 3 years down the road, I find myself very comfortable, happy with my achievement. learning the steps, meeting many senior people in the company and picking up their brain and applying it into my work. I was very comfortable where I was until one day when I was 26. I heard the knock on my office door, and it was the vice president of the production department. He said, Gilda, I want to speak to you because you are promoted. Something went inside me. I was excited. I was happy. Only 3 years, and I was promoted. He closed the door and sat on a chair in front of me, and he said, Gilda, we are opening a new department. This department is going to be you heading that department as a manager. You will be working with 37 other computer analysts. And simply, we need to convert all the computer programs that being developed using the existing measurement system into the new programs that will use the new measurement system. And you, Gilda, is the only person who knows the two systems fluently. That's why you are managing that department. We're going to have a new floor, you're going to have a new office, and the rest of the 37 employees will have their own office. That's when I started to become fearful. I was never put in this position. That's mean I'm stepping out of my comfortable office and dealing with 37 other employees. Not only that, I was so intimidated when I looked at the names. Many of these names, they were senior employees with 10, 15 years of experience. These people have written the most complex programs, helping the company achieve their work and drilling for oil wells in a faster and more effective way. I was truly intimidated. But before I said anything, the vice president said, Gilda, you have 2 days to decide if you're going to take this job. And once you say yes, which I hope you will, you have 2 weeks to connect with the other employees and prepare for the new department. And you only have until the end of the fiscal year of the company, which is 8 months from the 2 weeks we're going to start. I didn't say anything, but I was truly scared of that. I didn't know what I was facing. I even thought when I was driving home, maybe I should quit and not take that post. I wasn't ready for it. I didn't think I was ready for it. I go home and I call my friend Mina, who is a Toastmaster, and she is my buddy. We share everything to other and help each other. I told Mina what I'm going through and what's going to happen, and I have to make a big decision. She said, Gilda, let me tell you this. Before you take any role or any assignment, ask yourself a question. Why are you taking this assignment? What is the purpose of this assignment? Excuse me. What is the purpose of this assignment? You ask yourself many questions. But let me ask you this, she said. Do you feel confident that you could write these small programs that will convert the old system to the new system? I said, yes. He said, do you have the full scope of the project? How are you going to do it? I said, yes, because I've done this job before. She said, there. So what is your purpose? Your purpose is to help everybody, all these 37 people, into achieving the goal and achieving the purpose of the department, which is converting all these files from one system to the other. So in reality, you are not managing. You are leading. You are going to be the helper of every employee to achieve that goal. The word manager is very intimidating, she said. She said, because usually when we say manager, we are picturing people looking from up down to others. But leading and helping, this is where you are with the rest of the team, creating the culture that you need, that everybody needs to achieve the goal. So you are not managing, you are leading, and you have the quality, the technical quality to do that. Well, I was relieved, kind of. But again, I wasn't sure 100%. She told me, I know why you are intimidated, because you're 26 years old. You're a junior in the company, and you're going to be dealing, supposedly managing people with much more experience and maybe more qualified in writing programs. But don't forget, you have that thing that you're familiar with the two systems that nobody else has. She told me a story about Toastmasters, senior Toastmasters with distinguished title, and new Toastmasters that have been in Toastmaster only for a year or two. Many of them all practice to stand on that world championship stage to deliver speeches and hoping to win. It's not excellent. And the winner, usually, and the person who wins, doesn't have to be the Toastmaster who spent 10 years learning. It could be the junior person. But the reason why anybody or any Toastmaster that stand and deliver speeches on that world championship stage know exactly their purpose. They figure their purpose, why they were there, and how to connect to other people. And that's how they win. So age and experience has nothing to do with leading. In leadership speak, that's what we do. When we have guests trying to join or wanting to join our club, we make sure we ask them about their purpose. Why are they joining Leadership Speak? Where do they see themselves in 6 months, in a year from today? And that's why every member, every self-directed leader in our club has a purpose. We know our purpose, our individual purpose, and the club purpose. Authenticity. My friend said, the way to lead in Toastmaster is to be with the same level as the people you're leading. You have to be truthful to yourself. You have to show your strength and what you want to improve on. Be one of the rest of the people. Because this is how in Toastmaster we do it, and that's how we achieve building a culture of positivity, of encouragement, a culture that encourage everybody to stand and speak and take leadership and grow with their role and take it outside in their work and in their outside life. So know yourself, she said, be yourself and don't pretend otherwise. She also told me, dealing with people in Toastmasters, we value the four core values of Toastmaster International. We deal with people with integrity, respect, service, and excellence. If you take these four core values and apply them at work with the people you're going to work with, you will achieve your leadership. You will be successful with your leadership. And how true. If we take leadership, speak, we have 70 members from 34 different countries. Each one of us joined the club with different values and principles. But we value these different values and principles because we know different cultures brings creativity. Different experience brings innovation. And that's why each one of us, when we take a role in any of the meetings, we don't just assign ourselves to a role and read the script. We are self-directed leader. We create our roles, following the same steps and the culture of the club and Toastmasters. But we spice it with our own personal values and experience. And that's why the roles we take, they are excellent. I did that in my assignment. In the 2 weeks time I sat and I decided I'm going to do it my own way. I'm not going to sit in my office. I'm going to invite everybody, which I did. On Friday, lunch hour, we all going to get together at the cafeteria, and we are not going to talk work. We're going to connect with each other. On Wednesday, we're going to have the focal point person on Wednesday. I divided all the programs that belongs to every computer programmer. And I said, when we convert your files, you will be leading us all. We will be asking you all the questions because you are the expert in this. You're the only one who can help us. And we all gonna work, not in our offices, but we're gonna sit together, if possible, whenever possible, in the big conference room, so it will be easier to connect and to ask questions. I wanted to create that agility in our department because I knew we are working with deadline. We only have 8 months and we need to convert thousands of documentation and programs. So I needed everybody to have that sense of belonging to accomplish their goal and the department goal and my goal in leadership. But any leader knows the purpose and become truthful to him or herself. Trusting ability becomes so easy because trusting our ability, it is the courage that we need to stand as leader, to lead with conviction, to make the tough decision when needed. And that's how, when I walked to my office after 2 weeks and I saw the word manager and underneath it my name, I crossed that word in my brain and I said, I am here to help, to lead, to encourage, to create that comfortable culture, to work with these agile people, the experienced people, to finish the task in 8 months. And that's how I did. Courage, all we need, my dear friends. I'd like to share with you a riddle written by John Maxwell. He's an author and a leadership coach. He said, one of my dad's favorite riddle is, it went like this: 5 frogs sitting on a piece of wood, and 4 of them decided to jump. How many frogs do you have left on the piece of wood? John said, 1. His father said, no. There is a big difference between deciding and doing. 4 of these frogs, they only decided, but they did not have the courage to jump. Only when they have the courage to jump, then you could say 1. Otherwise, 5 of them were there. Courage is all we need to change or convert or transform decision into doing. Courage is the only thing we need to have successful leadership, trusted leadership. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Wow. I must say, Gilda, that is the most relaxed I've heard you present and the most connection. So congratulations, being agile and presenting such a powerful educational speech for us. I hope everyone lets that just sink in. The inner courage, not that stuff that we need, the stuff, that dauntless stuff, but we need that quiet inner courage, and you brought it home. Thank you. And to our guests, the real test of leadership is not comfort, it's courage. So if you've completed 3 levels of a pathway, even if you haven't signed that book, that guest book that you'll find in the chat, and come as often as you wish as a guest to see what we do here. And now we move into the speaking segment, well, the speakers. And that is the meat of our meeting as well. First, we have Nicole Whyte. Now, Nicole Whyte has been a Toastmaster for the past 5 years, and here to evaluate Nicole is, I've lost the evaluator, Jyothi. No.
Rozy.
Rozy. Rozy, can we bring Rozy on? Sorry. Rozy, what are you going to be evaluating?
Great. Today, it's with great courage that Nicole has decided to moderate a panel. So in doing this, she is delivering her Presentation Mastery Level 5 project. And the purpose is for her to apply her skills as a public speaker and as a leader in facilitating this panel. Nicole's taken a lot of time in preparing diligently earlier and prior to today. And I'll be looking forward to observing her exercise agility in weaving in the different perspectives of the panel. Thank you so much, and back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Rozy. Looking forward to the evaluation because Nicole's doing quite a project today. Today, Nicole has been a Toastmaster. Let's spotlight Nicole here, please. Been a Toastmaster for the past 5 years. She brings to our virtual stage her experience as an HR professional and educator. She's passionate about empowering others and helping them grow. We certainly see that in her efforts here. An avid learner, Nicole is fueled by a lifelong learning mindset. She believes in bringing a practical, empathetic, and people-centered approach to the value that she gives to others. Today, Nicole steps into the role of a moderator for our panel discussion, Connection, the Core of Great Leadership. She will guide our panelists and audience through an engaging conversation on why authentic presence and human connection are central to leadership success. Connection, the core of great leadership. Connection, the core of great leadership. Nicole, over to you.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster Sandra. Leadership is about the presence we bring and the connections we create. That's why today's discussion is focused on connection, the core of great leadership. I'm thrilled to be joined by an amazing panel of leaders who will share their perspective and experience on this important topic. I will have a conversation with the panelists, and at the end, we would like to hear from you, our audience. As you are listening to the interaction, please send your questions to Gerda Felix. She will send a message in the main chat, so you will identify her from now, and of course, you may send her a private chat. And now, it's my honor to introduce our panelists. Our first panelist is our very own Vinod Panikkar. And here goes. He has stepped on the virtual stage. Thank you, Zoom Master. Vinod is a seasoned sales leader and trusted advisor with nearly 20 years of experience driving growth across the UAE and the Middle East. So let us all welcome Vinod Panikkar. Go ahead with your virtual applause or whatever you choose. Hello, Vinod.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Nicole.
Awesome. Our next panelist is Donna Henry, a human resource development professional with over 20 years of experience in leadership development, coaching, and organizational transformation. She has stepped on the virtual stage. Please all help me welcome Donna Henry. Hello, Donna.
Hey.
Always with that big smile, thank you. And last but not least, our third panelist is Edith Pencil, a senior human resources leader with more than 2 decades of experience in Canada's retail automotive industry. She is the 2023 Women Driven Leadership Award winner please help me welcome Edith Pencil.
Thank you so much, Nicole, and everyone for having me.
Awesome. Vinod, any burning information that is crucial for the audience to know about you? Perhaps you can add on to what I've mentioned about you, please. Any burning?
I think most of the people know. So I would like to tell that I am someone who likes to seek truth, be it personal life or in organization. So I'm a keen observer. And when I do a consulting assignment, I call myself a trusted advisor. I present the truth with courage so that changes happen. So I'm not for everyone, but when I do take up roles, I make sure I look for truth and present it in the purest form.
Absolutely, purest form. That's where authenticity come in. Thank you so much. And Donna, please add what's your burning info.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me this morning. I think my burning info is that I'd love to say I believe that I am doing now in my life what I was created to do. And I'm really, really passionate about that.
Absolutely beautiful. I know you're touching lives and making impact. And Edith, what's yours?
I guess I would say my burning info is I'm very passionate about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and I think that's core of everything I do. Consider myself a servant leader, but yeah, I think most importantly, and kind of in line with what Donna said, I think at this point in my life, I'm very much finding that my purpose is aligned with helping serve others to really achieve, where they're supposed to be in terms of their career, and just marrying those, strengths, personal strengths and attributes with careers. Because I do believe no one should be in a job. They should be in a career that's aligned with the strengths, their God-given strengths.
Absolutely. Servant leadership, inclusion, diversity. Great. Vinod, I'd like you to tell me your definition of connection in the context of leadership.
Oh, good question. I would like to say that connection is, I personally feel there are two things. One is it is a bridge between vision and execution. Only with connection, there will be an agility towards execution. And second, which I have learned a little bit hard way, is connection is a skill, not a personality trait. For a very long time, I used to think about connection is something about being introvert or extrovert. But now in the last few years, I have realized it's just a skill. We can work on it. And that has changed my perspective and my relationship with my team.
Thank you. What's your thought on that, Donna?
Thank you so much for that question. I think what I'd love to add to that is connection is all about intentionality, being very intentional about the people that you work with, understanding who they are. I have this thing that I'd love to say that as a leader, if you need to connect with people, you first need to recognize that they are people first before they are employees. So when I think of connection, I think about how is it that we actually integrate with people, get to know them, get to understand them, so that we can effectively lead them.
Awesome. Intentionality, people first. Vinod is the skill aspect of it and that true connection. Edith, what's your thought on that, your definition?
Yeah, I mean, connection, I think when we very, very much aligned with Donna and Vinod, and I think it's the core of it's connecting with people. But when I think about it in the context of leadership, I truly believe that sometimes there's a misconception on, being a manager versus being a leader. And I feel like managing people is managing the performance of work, whereas leading people is inspiring individuals. Like it will automatically translate to performance. And so we can't do any of this without having that connection with the people that we work with our employees. And it's about cultivating that environment where people feel comfortable coming to you as a leader, feel comfortable with their vulnerabilities, because, at the end of the day, we're all humans. And so for me, I think connection is all about, as a leader anyways, it's all about cultivating a work environment where employees they feel safe, psychologically safe, and they feel that they can speak to their leader about any challenges they're facing.
Absolutely. I like how you made that this distinction between managing people, management and leadership. Beautiful. Donna, what would you say to leaders who see connection as an afterthought? We know that processes, efficiency, and are paramount to any organizational success, right? We want to hit those numbers and goals. But for some leaders, it's all about efficiency, getting those revenues and all of that. So what would you say to leaders who see connection as an afterthought?
So I would say in that instance is stop and reflect, because connection can never, if you're looking at as a leader, connection is an afterthought. Basically what you're saying is that, all right, these people don't matter, what they do don't matter, what is important is the bottom line. And I've seen it too many times when people neglect connection, and I've seen the results that they get. So yes, you get your numbers, but you lose people and you damage careers with that. So I would say it is actually a strategy that I believe that people need to employ as leaders. You cannot do anything at all without people. And even as we think about, the digital era that we're in now, and, the AI and all of these things are giving us a lot of efficiencies. The reality is that if we look at it, the world is going back to humanistic leadership, where emotional intelligence and all of those things are coming back. And so if you neglect connection as a leader, you're just looking at today. You're not looking at the future. And that's a big thing for me. You need to be dual-minded, looking at what's happening now and also where we're going in the future. So I'd say you're making a big mistake in a nutshell.
Absolutely, I can appreciate that. I know Edith wants to jump in. She's nodding. I can imagine. I mean, an entire employee services department, a company which is a formidable force in Canada, automotive, with over 2,000 employees, heading off employee services. Now we're talking about processes, numbers, all of that. I think this is a great one for you to chime in on, Edith.
Yeah, no, I mean, my thoughts are racing on this one because I do think connection is directly tied to engagement. And, putting on my HR hat here, we know employee engagement drives everything from, performance to retention. And so if leaders are seeing connection as an afterthought, they're going to pay the price. It's going to be high turnover. We know turnover translates to negative impact to the bottom line. And so I do think there's this, maybe more of a historic mindset that, being compassionate and having connection and empathy is considered as something that's like soft or fluff. But I think until leaders really see connection and having like strong emotional intelligence as a true leadership skill, as a business skill, they're going to pay the price in various ways. And it's oftentimes not quantified, but I think as HR leaders are looking more and more in quantifying the cost of turnover, there's a direct correlation to engagement. And so I think everyone's familiar with like Gallup. So Gallup does a lot of research on employee engagement, and they have found that 70% of variances in employee engagement is directly tied to relationships between a manager and employee. And so I think it's a huge mistake if leaders are really seeing connection as an afterthought. It's going to result in things like turnover issues, burnout, and just stalled growth, I think, with employees.
Absolutely. Thank you for your feedback. That's it. The relationship between the manager and the employee, and that's where the bottom line result shows, where that lack of disconnect can happen, and that's where it should be centered on. And it's just not in the organization, the workplace setting only. A community like Toastmasters, a nonprofit, wherever you are, where you are impacting others and developing or supposed to be inspiring others. All these are core essence that we should keep in mind. Absolutely. Vinod, can you share an example of where being fully present helps you connect more effectively? Because I know you lead your team, you do a number of training in the sales realm and so on. Can you share an example where being fully present helps you connect more effectively?
Yes, Nicole. I have actually many such incidents, but it was in 2021 when I took over a company which was closed for almost 6 months. And most of the employees, almost 38 employees, were not paid for that time because the raw material could not come, the factory was not working. So when I went in there, I had 38 sets of eyes looking at me, like what is, with hope, what is going to happen next. And the thing that I worked on was building personal connection with most of the employees. And it took me some time. After 1 week, I called one of the supervisors, who was one of the most senior guys. And I saw him, he was working on one machine and he was very happy where he was. I just called him and asked about like his family and all. He said his daughter is studying for graduation. I told, okay, let me talk to her. I spoke to her, gave her some career advice. And from the next day, this person started jumping around the company everywhere. Like he was so much into the work. He was reporting to me every hour that we need to do this to do correction. We need to do this for correction. And that was the time, because for me, that was the first time I was leading such a big team. And I was actually faking it, to be honest. What Amy Cuddy says, that like fake it till you make it. Because for me, once I did that faking for 2 3 days, I was in my mind saying, why should I just go and do your work? Why should I fake this? Like that urge to, like, why should I build relationship? But today that has helped me a lot, because I take intentionally a 15 to 20 minutes break every 3 hours. I just walk down the factory floor and just ask a simple question: what's happening? And they just open up, most of the employees. So yes, leading with connection is a very powerful way of leading authentically. And I have lots of examples, but this is one example that I, like what you say, remember very vividly, because that changed my complete perspective. From that day, I stopped faking and I started becoming.
I
Back to
love
you, Nicole.
that. Stop faking and start becoming. You said you have many examples. I'll circle you some other time for some of those examples. Yes, awesome. I'm done. You did actually share one of your examples where you would have seen and experienced that in terms of just connecting and being fully present and seeing the effect of that.
Thank you for that question, Nicole. My heart smiles with that question, because when I think of, and there's no time at all when I don't reflect any leadership conversation that I've had when I don't reflect on the best team that I've ever worked with. I recall getting a team in a time when there was a lot of volatility in the organization. There were some people who were underperforming, they were restructuring and stuff. And so I got a team that there were high performers and there were low performers who didn't really understand their potential as yet. Right. And so what I did in that instance is sat with everyone and spoke about what the business expectations were, and equally what my expectations were and what they expected from me. What happened after that is magical, because we then moved into having direct one-to-one conversations, ensuring that when we had team meetings, it was just a check-in on how are your goals, where are they? But it was actually intentional time that I got to spend with each to find out, how are you doing? What are your goals? What do you plan to do in the next couple of months? And what I saw from that was amazing. Like within 6 months, majority of them were promoted or either left the organization for other senior positions in other organizations. And then to make it even more powerful for me is that I've not worked with any of them for probably about some 8 to 10 years, and we are still connected. I go to weddings, I go to baby showers, I am there with them. So that for me, being present, sitting with them, understanding what it is that they need. I found that connection to be amazing. And it also helps me as an individual because I also grew from their feedback, from learning from them, from understanding them. So that is something that I talk about in every leadership session that I actually deliver because it was amazing for me and very impactful.
Absolutely. You hit on salient points, one-on-ones. That's the approach that leadership should take. That one-on-one, instead of sending an email with processes or goals, you check in, you felt the pulse of the people that you're leading and inspiring. It's so important. Thank you for sharing that, Donna. I'm sure they're impactful up to this day. And Edith, you want to share one of your example?
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with both Vinod and Don. I think, and yourself, Nicole, the importance of one-on-one. I'm a big proponent for that. But this just really has me reflect back on a situation during the pandemic. And as you know, I mean, it was, impacted all organizations, I think, globally. But for HR people, HR folks, it was very, very impacting because in many cases, we had to make some, significant workforce changes. So I vividly recall, kind of working around the clock and alongside a few members of my team that we were able to retain during the pandemic. And so having the one-on-ones, we would typically connect to go over a number of, workforce related issues. But I noticed immediately connecting with one employee, and she didn't seem herself. And so I completely parked my list of, or my normal list of questions I would normally ask with respect to our day-to-day deliverables. And I just became a listening ear. I asked her, is there something wrong? I'm noticing, you don't seem yourself. And that just led to an opportunity for that individual to be very vulnerable and share some of the personal pressures they're facing and the burnout, just because we were working sort of around the clock in the heat of this, unprecedented time in the world. And so that vulnerability really led to me being able to, connect with this employee on a personal level and provide some additional supports. And I really think that helped in further strengthening the trust between me and that employee. So I think it's really important when it comes to one-on-ones. Yes, it's important to understand that it'd be a performance side of the employee and any developmental side of them as an employee. But I think we're all human, and gone are the days where like whatever's happening outside of work stays out of work. Whatever's happening outside of work will translate and impact an employee in the workplace. So I think it's important that we understand when our employees are having their highs and lows and looking for ways that we can support them.
Beautiful. And that period, Edith, was a volatile period. Donna had a volatile period too, right? Because of state of mind of employees based on our example. Now, during COVID, that's like a volatile period too. So many things going on. So employees are thinking about performance issues, personal issues, disruption, and it takes connection, authentic connection for you to would have succeeded in this case. So thank you so much. Absolutely. All right, so this question is, for all of you. Vinod, I'm gonna start with you. So in this fast-paced world of deadlines and distractions, how can leaders stay intentional about building human connection?
By making sure you take time for reflection. I think it was Peter Drucker who had said the best leaders are those who can daily sit with their legs crossed on the table. So what he look out of the window and sit across with a leg crossed. So what he meant was just take 5 minutes of time to reflect your day and create blocks of time intentionally. Because what happens is, I think Edith had mentioned about the manager and leader, the difference. So most of us are hired as a manager, and a job of a manager is to solve problems. So we are doing firefighting most of the time, and a manager's job is to bring to the company to equilibrium, like to the center. There are problems we solve and bring it to the center. We have to look at the forest, not just the trees. So you have to have that zoom in, zoom out mentality. Keep a timer so that you can take 15 minutes intentional break to just go and say hi. Because one thing with Donna had mentioned about strategy, leading up, leading across, and leading down are all three different things. We are all very good at leading down because that is what most of the academics has taught us. But leading up, speaking to power is difficult and a different ball game. Leading across and connecting across is a totally different game where you are talking with your colleagues of same role. So I think you need to intentionally take time and do that.
Absolutely. Donna, you want to chime in?
Definitely. I love what you said, Vinod, in terms of taking time for yourself. I put it this way for leaders. If you are not taking care of yourself, you cannot take care of anybody else. And so I often encourage leaders that you need to take some time out to take care of yourself. In addition to that, I also believe that don't look at connection as a big goal, because when you look at it like that, it seems very overwhelming. But look at it as the small moments that you're taking to listen, the small moment that you're taking to have a conversation, the small moment you're taking to ask a question that may lead somebody into recognizing even their full potential. So don't look at it as your big strategy, but just the small moments, the hellos, the good mornings, the how are you doing? Those small moments does make a big difference in your employees' lives. So I'd say take care of yourself, but also look at it as small moments that you take to connect to your employees.
Wonderful. Small moments, and remember yourself. Okay, leaders, eat it.
Couldn't agree more with Donna on the small moments. Sometimes I feel like we overcomplicate things, and I think connection, it's just human connection. It's about, just being your authentic self. When we go into the workplace, oftentimes we put on this hat of being that professional leader that is focused on, achieving, business objectives. But I think we just need to, bring that human connection down to what it is. And it really is in line with what Donna said. It's just those very small bite-sized moments where we can connect with employees. It doesn't need to be hours of connection. It could be 2 minutes, stopping by your employee's desk to ask them how their evening was. So I think sometimes we overcomplicate these suggestions that we make to leaders. Sometimes leaders see it as, why do we have to? I don't have time to, to be connected with all 20 of my employees. But I think if we're intentional about just making it natural, making it part of us, how we would interact with others outside of the workplace. I mean, I don't know about any of you, but I mean, when I'm out, if I see someone, I say hello to them, right? Like I think it's just really cultivating that environment where people feel in their workplace, they feel at home, they feel comfortable with one another. So I would say that also those micro check-ins are really important. Being present, this is something I learned, and I'll be open in sharing that I struggled quite a bit with, being in back-to-back meetings. Sometimes there were business meetings, sometimes there were meetings with my team, and then I would get derailed or distracted with emails and chats that are coming through. But I think being very intentional about being present. So I would say that would be kind of like that one takeaway as it pertains to being intentional about that human connection, is that when you are connecting with your employee, try to be present, block out those emails, put it on, do not disturb, so that they know that they have your full ears and you're really practicing active listening. I think that makes a big difference.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Intentionality and be natural, right? Simple, but still valuable. All right, thank you so much for all your responses, my esteemed panelists. I would love, I saw some chat going off. Gerda, what do you have for us? Let me check it out. We're moving on to our Q&A section. Yeah, let's hear your questions, everyone.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. We have 4 questions. The first one is for Vinod from Oltesh. How do you build the connection skills?
I think both of our panelists have mentioned the short moments very well. And I think what Peter Drucker had called just good manners, checking in on people. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, how are you doing? And from heart, when you really ask it, there are 2 things. One is when you listen, and if you can get to another level, that is getting comfortable with silence. It means when 2 people are having a conversation, and if you ask something to them and they're not able to answer, instead of that silence being like what you say, no, be there, we jump on to like what you say, break the silence. One thing in life, this is a little bit spiritual path, but I have learned is if 2 people can sit with each other silently for 10 or 15 minutes, they have the best relationship in the world. So not only active listening where you are learning to ask questions, embrace the silence. Like don't be in a hurry to say something. Just check in with people, genuinely be interested in people. That is the only one thing. And it has come very hard to me. I am the last person on this planet Earth who want to know what is happening in somebody's world. I don't care about that, honestly. But it is a skill that you have to develop, and you develop it through this short moments, checking in, being well mannered. That's it. That has helped me a lot. That is something that I can say, Nicole and Altesh. Thank you for the question.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Vinod.
Thank you. Yes, the second question, and this is from Sashini to Edith. How can I balance maintaining a strong personal connection with a direct report who has ADHD while also ensuring efficiency and follow through given their challenges with focus and task completion?
Yeah, it's a loaded question. I mean, I'm not too familiar with, there's a duty to accommodate, and we need to be respectful of our employees' individual differences. So I'm not too familiar with, supporting someone with ADHD, but I would say if it were me, if I were the leader, I would first, speak with the employee to understand how I can support them with, that particular disability. And that should help me in strategizing how I can cultivate that, develop that relationship with them. They might not be comfortable with in-person. It's possible they might not be comfortable with in-person meetings. Maybe they might prefer to meet virtually. So I think without knowing the employee, it's really important in just asking open-ended questions to better understand that individual, their strengths, their vulnerabilities, where their challenges are, and then that will help cultivate what my go forward plan would be in terms of supporting them in meeting up with the performance expectations. But at the same time understanding them as a human, because at the end of the day they're both married. The individual and personal attributes, they all add up and play into how the employee can perform. So I like to take leadership. We often talk about leadership styles, and although all of us might strive for, to adapt one particular leadership style, I mentioned earlier, I'm very much aligned with servant leadership, but I also share the mindset that you can't take a one size fits all approach to leading employees. You have to find how to best lead each employee. Everyone has, just as, for those of you who are parents, if you have multiple children, every child is not the same. And not to say employees are children, but I do take that same approach with, catering the leadership to the individual employee. And that first starts off with the human connection, understanding that individual, understanding how to better support them, and then cultivating that, individual development plan and going from there.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Edith.
Okay, so this question, thank you. And this question I will go to Donna. Give us some tips for effective connection while working remotely with direct reports you've never met in person.
All right, thank you so much for that question. I think when COVID came in, so we were all thrust online, and so the approach that I took was that yes, we're online, but the requirements are still the same. I still need to connect. So I would say, yes, you're not going to meet them in person, but one of the things that I think, one of the challenges that I think we have sometimes is that it's transitioning from that place of personally, I can connect with you here, but then online, what do I do? So first tip is that you still need to meet and greet. So you've not met this person in person, but they are going to be reporting to you. So you start with, let us have an online conversation, coffee online, come with your coffee cup, meet your manager. So find creative ways of still carrying out that introduction, because the work is still going to continue online. So one, coffee online, games online, team stuff online, different the cook-off activities online. I mean, COVID taught us so much that we could do that we weren't doing it in person, that we did in person, that we could do online. So it is for us to look at creative. So the coffee online, your one-to-one online with cameras on. Because I find, like, in organizations where I go in sometimes to work with them, and they say, oh, we have coaching sessions, but we don't turn on our cameras. And I'm like, that does not make sense. So coaching session online with cameras because, as I think about this, I think that the reality is that it's the first I'm seeing Edith, it's the first I'm seeing Vinod, right? Online, but still we're connecting. I still feel like I know them, we're in the same space and we can have the conversation. So there is that background connection, but the coffee online, just the things that we used to do in person, find creative ways to do them online. A stand up in the morning is a way of connecting. Your quick, let's jump online for 5 minutes. Nicole, what are we doing today? Vinod, what are we doing today? How did the project go last week? So there is still that room for connection.
Beautiful. Great tips, Donna. Excellent. Great question as well. All right. I'm going to move along, and we have to wrap up quickly now. So in one sentence for each of you, starting with Vinod, if there is one thing you'd want the audience to take away from this conversation, what would it be?
Okay, so I would share a research which I love about connection, and then I will give the message. It's by Harvey Coleman in 1996. He had suggested 3 key elements for career succession, and the acronym was PIE, P-I-E, performance, image, and exposure. The most amazing thing is performance only amounted to 10%, image amounted to 30%, and exposure amounted to 60%. So foundation of your career progression or to be a successful leader is performance. That is just 10%, according to Harvey. 30% is image, your personal brand, what people perceive you as. And exposure is whom you know. And that is where connection comes in. So think of connection from today in a different way. Because if you start today, you will have one extra day than if you had started tomorrow. Think of connection as a skill and start exposing your skills to as many people as possible. Flex a little in today's world. This is something which I personally don't like, but do it. There are people who would never be seen in any event, but suddenly when a birthday party or a cake cutting comes in a corporate event, they will be in the front and center. Right? I'm not telling you to be there, but make sure you are there at the right place, because that is what the research says if you want to go up the career ladder. Thank you. And consider it as a skill and start developing it. Thank you. Back to you.
Well said. Thank you so much. And we can apply it. We have a lot of self-directed leaders here in Leadership Speak. We have entrepreneurs. We have advocate leaders here. We have organizational leaders here. So yes, this tip definitely applies. Absolutely. And Donna, what's your one sentence?
So it's going to be a very long sentence, but it will start with this. I would say lead self first. So prioritize leading yourself, because if you don't know who you are, it's going to be very difficult for you to connect with everybody else. So lead self first. And then the other part of it is know who it is that you're leading, because you cannot connect with who you don't understand.
Absolutely. All right. Very good. Awesome. Cannot connect with who you do not understand. That's resonating. Yeah. Thank you so much, Donna. And Edith.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be one sentence, but I will share that many years ago, one of our COO, or one of my leaders, gave myself and a number of other leaders a book to read called Start With Why by Simon Sinek. And I recall something Simon Sinek wrote in that book, which was, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So, and that resonated not just from like customers, but also from a manager and employee or leader employee relationship. So if employees don't believe that you care about anything, they won't buy into your vision. But if they feel connected to you, they'll end up going that extra mile. And I think it just helps to like firmly kind of wrap up, this discussion, because I think if employees do not feel connected with their leaders, it will end up in more than likely in turnover. And everyone's probably familiar with that term of, people don't leave organizations, they leave leaders. And we can't ignore that. Engagement studies show it all the time. So I think if we can leave here, for those of us that are leaders in organizations, if we can leave here prioritizing the importance of engagement, I think engagement and connection, they go hand in hand. It will help unlock potential, whether it's with the employees' personal goals and aspirations, but then that will translate to performance and increased profitability, and studies show it. So
absolutely. Prioritize engagement. Beautiful. Thank you for all your insights and your responses. As we close, I want to just say again, Vinod, Donna, Edith, thank you for your wisdom and your presence. And of course, our audience, your listening, your presence, and your thoughtful questions have enriched this discussion. Leadership is about connection. And today you reminded us that connection is a two-way street. Thank you for being in this exchange. As we close, let's go forward with this mindset. Connection is the core of great leadership. It's how we turn authentic presence into impact and impact into legacy. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day.
Wow. I am just blown away with the whole meeting today. Everyone speaking about this connection, which is so incredible. And thank you to all the panel members and everyone who was participating. Thank you to the guests as well. And leadership is about choosing courage, deep inner courage, even when the outcome is uncertain. So please step into the chat and sign up on our guest book. We would love to be talking with you. Now we're moving on to Nicole Miller-Douglas, and her evaluator is Robin Stone. Can we have Robin, please, as well?
Thank you, Sandra. And yes, we're going from one extreme in terms of time, I guess, to the other. This will be is from the motivational strategies path, level 3, and this is the third project. And the purpose of this project is for Nicole to practice delivering social speech in front of the club, which she'll be doing now. This is the second speech of this particular project. So back to you, Sandra. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicole Miller-Douglas talking about cheers to volunteerism. Nicole says that leaders must continuously improve how they lead themselves. Must have been listening in on that panel. How they lead themselves if they want to improve how they lead others. Me, I say that when you can find the courage, that inner courage to direct volunteers, you have really found the magic. Let's hear from Nicole about cheers to volunteerism. Cheers to volunteerism. Nicole Miller-Douglas, take it away.
Cheers to those actively involved in volunteerism. Volunteerism is the noble act of willingly serving for the benefit of others, often without compensation. It is a commitment rooted in courage, compassion, purpose, and a desire to make a difference. My journey in volunteerism began in my younger years. At church, I served in the children's ministry. During high school, I served as a student volunteer on the hockey team. These early experiences shaped my understanding of service and laid the foundation for the leadership roles I embrace today. As a parent, I instill the values of volunteerism in my children. I believe that the act of helping others empowers us to grow, lead, and contribute meaningfully to our communities. Currently, I serve as the parent representative on my twin daughters' volleyball team. Simultaneously, I serve in the position of first vice president on the parent executive committee of my twin sons' cadet group. For me, it took much courage and perseverance to organize and manage the volunteers in the kitchen schedule for the cadet group. At the start, I felt overwhelmed when a few parents stepped forward to volunteer. But with courage, I continued to send out calls for help. Over time, those simple calls evolved into motivational messages, messages that inspire others to join the mission. I witnessed how courage to lead transformed frustration into energy, apathy into action, hesitation into commitment. I salute all dedicated parents who work tirelessly behind the scenes, cooking, counseling, or simply enjoying the moments created. Parents, your behind-the-scene efforts and support creates unforgettable moments. Cheers to student and parent volunteers. Yet today, my loudest cheer for volunteerism goes to Leadership Speak, the Toastmasters Club that has provided a space where members serve one another and grow, including myself. Behind the scenes of Saturday sessions are volunteers in the Tuesday Extraordinariness Mentorship and Coaching session and the Thursday practice sessions. For example, the specific feedback I get on where to pause in my delivery to improve the impact of my speech. Our mentors and coaches give freely of their time, showing up and serving. It is in those moments of service that I develop the competence and courage to lead better as a volunteer. I have a better understanding that true leadership is not motivated by money. It is motivated by competence, character, calling, and courage. Leadership teaches that agility to lead well starts with the courage to serve well. Cheers to volunteerism. Over to you, Madam Toastmaster of today.
Cheers. Cheers for volunteerism is absolutely correct. Thank you for flowing so beautifully into Maryam's speech next. I don't think you planned it that way, but hers is the power of the pause. And here to evaluate Maryam is Asan Miko. Asan? Miko? I hope he's here. Is Miko not here? Zoom Master?
Sandra, she is here. He's here, but his video is off, so we're not able to Zoom it, spotlight him. Yeah.
Okay.
I've sent a message. I've sent a message. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
It's okay.
Oh,
Let me cover.
Miko looks like Holmes.
Let me cover for Miko today.
All right, can you give the objectives, please, Miko? Miko Holmes?
Maryam today is doing her dynamic leadership path, a level 3 elective. Focus on the positive. This project has 2 options, and Maryam has chosen the 5 to 7 minutes option, where she will share some aspects of her experience, keeping a daily record of her moods and attitudes, feelings, positive or negative, successes and efforts, which the speaker is grateful, and then share with us based on her 2 weeks experience. Back to Sandra, Toastmasters of the day.
Thank you, Miko Teng. Maryam has found out that in her Toastmaster journey, she has somehow discovered pauses as a tool beyond just a chance to grab her breath. Can we be getting Maryam up on the screen, please? In fact, she's here to share what power there is and can be when the pause is properly used, how the pause allows her to be better understood and to manage her own feelings and thoughts, creating space for clarity and mindful action, and her own inner courage. The power of the pause. The power of the pause. Help me welcome Maryam Saedavi. Maryam?
Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the day. Follow Toastmaster and welcome guests. Have you ever said something in the heat? On the moment you feel to regret after soon? I have. What I learned from that experience, I did not just change how I speak, they changed how I connect. A few months ago, I was having dinner with my younger brother, Muhammad. He was struggling with the job rejection, maybe even the sign of the depression. As he's the older sibling, I did what was helpful for him. I gave advice. I told him what to do, how to fix, and how to stay positive. Then Muhammad look at me and say something I will never forget. He told me, you are not really listening to me. You are just make yourself feel better because you don't know how to sit with the what I am feeling. That hit me so hard, not because he was rude, because he was right. I wasn't truly listening to him. I act from my own discomfort. I means well, but my but will be opposite what I did. That uncomfortable dinner, that the moment I need to do something better, lead me in the project, learning more away about the thought and the how to sharp my response to the others. Let me read with you, this is not easy work. Self-awareness is not about saying the right things, it's all about slowing down before enough to ask. During this project, I start to journey after emotional charge moments. Colleagues at the work challenge my idea during the meeting. Normally, I want to jump, but this time I'll pause. I take the deep breath. I ask myself why I need to be reacting so strongly. That pause changed everything. I listening. I acknowledge is the points, and we have the wonderful proactive conversation our team has had. That take me in the quote by the Viktor Frankl too came to my life for me. Between stimulus and the response, there is the space. That space, you choose how to respond. The response leads us to the growth and the freedom. That pause, that space. What the self-awareness gives to us. The power to respond with the intention. What I learned from that, I learned self-awareness is not about the soft skill, it's all about leadership skill. That what's the turn the emotional reaction into the thoughtful response. It is the availability to everyone every single day. So here the some points should be considered. Between stimulus and response, there is the pause. That the pause lead you to the growth and growth. That the pause will be reflect to the instead to the react. That the power to listen instead to the fix. That the power to connect instead to the control. Back to my brother Muhammad, last week we have dinner again. This time I don't give him any advice. Just I ask him, how are you feeling today? And I listen. End of the meal, he look at me and say, thank you for hearing me. That moment reminds me something. Sometimes we don't want to say any brilliant, just need be fully present. Fully present. And here my challenge to you. This week, everyone in the room, When your tension rise, pause. When your emotion rise, pause. When you want to fix something or define or the control, just pause and ask yourself what I am feeling. What and what should be answered right? Because that the pause will give to you more than clarity. You will find compassion. You will find connection. Even you will find the best self waiting to lead. That's the power of the pause. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
And that does invite a pause. It truly invites the pause. Connection, compassion, courage. But the power of the pause, thank you so much for that. That brings us to the end of our speakers for today. E.J. McDowell, our timer, can you please post the speakers' times in the chat? And Zoom Master, can you please post the poll for the best effort speaker? And I need a chance to boop and submit. And while the polls are coming in, one more invitation to our guests to sign the book, because each time, and you're welcome to do this, give feedback in the chat, of course. Each time you give feedback, you're leading with authenticity. Please be sure to sign the guest book in the chat. And now, ladies and gentlemen, into the world of effective listening with our general evaluator of the day, Terrence Weir. Terrence is a professional business analyst and a Toastmaster by passion. He joined his community club, Early Birds Toastmasters in Kenya in 2020. Didn't all of us join something in 2020 with Zoom? and Terrence has grown as a leader in the club, the area, the division, and the district, having served as the Sergeant at Arms, the President, and VPE, PR Manager for the district and the division. Today, Terrence gets to flex his listening skills. Flex, 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 Terrence. Be ready with your listening skills as our GE. Help me welcome Terrence Weir. Terrence, take it away.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. In this segment, the general evaluation, we're going to look at how the meeting was, especially in terms of the speeches. I'm going to call up the various evaluators for the various speakers, and they're going to give their evaluations for the speeches. For an advanced Toastmasters club such as Leadership Speak, you're going to notice something different. These members connected prior to this meeting, and they're helping each other become better speakers and self-directed leaders. As such, I will take 45 seconds to a minute after each and every evaluation to add value or to encourage in terms of, or to highlight areas that have shown self-directed leadership. I will start with the first segment, which was the toast. To evaluate the toast, we will have Toastmaster Rivero. And as far as the speech, or as far as the theme of the day is concerned, this is what he had to say. When any leadership opportunity lands at your feet, will you take the courage? Will you take the first step? Having the courage to lead requires an inner strength to learn and follow through, especially when faced with the unknown, and courageously making it known to all being led. Ray, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. General Evaluator. And Phibian, thank you very much for that opening toast. as the first speaker of the meeting, you had the responsibility of just getting all of us started, getting us all excited by embracing the theme. You asked me to take a look at a couple of things. Did your speech, your toast, connect with the audience? And take a look at how well your vocal variety impacted the audience. Did you connect? With great agility, you did. What you did is open it up with your stage presence, projected your voice in the clear, and moved forward to the camera. It just says, in a way, pay attention. I have a message for you. And boy, did we follow it. You opened yourself up. You weren't sure about what this leadership was about. And to complicate things, you didn't know you had the confidence to express that leadership. That boy, did you share some very good lessons about leadership. I don't have all the answers. Who does? I had quiet courage. You did. And to listen. I don't have to pretend. You had a very commanding stage presence. Yet you did this sitting down. You should stand up. You should let yourself use your gestures, your body language to flow how you really felt about leadership. Starting with, I'm not quite sure what's going on, to, I can embrace this. That's the power of using gestures to enhance your message, that nonverbal. The challenge is just to extend and expand. And with aplomb and agility, you have the quiet courage to express what you mean in this toast. Good job, great agility, and most importantly, your first speech in delivering social speeches. Over to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Ray. I resonated with what you said, especially about what I would call the close-up when talking to the audience, getting into their space and being in the same room in that sense. And I will move to the next evaluator, evaluating the Toastmaster of the day. This is Toastmaster Paramjit. Toastmaster Paramjit, the virtual floor is yours.
Thank you very much, General Evaluator, Toastmaster Terrence. Friends, let me begin asking you one simple question. What do we expect from a Toastmaster of the day? We expect someone who can set the right tone, connect with the theme, bring structure to the meeting, and guide us smoothly from one segment to another, keeping the energy absolutely alive and make the audience feel engaged throughout the meeting. Now, if we reflect on today's meeting, our Toastmaster of the day just didn't do all of this, but so much more. She didn't just host the meeting, she led it with the courage, grace, agility, and inspiration with her ever-smiling face. Right from the opening, where she tied on the masses, the courage to lead with an impactful message. She created an atmosphere of learning and leadership, and reminding us that leadership is not about position, but to choose courage over comfort and realizing our inner courage. And each transition was thoughtful when personalized, showing that she was not only prepared, but also cared about every role player. She was very much self-assured and fully engaged with the audience with a well-structured content and kept the energy level high throughout the meeting. And most importantly, she herself became a living example of courageous leadership by stepping forward and guiding us with warmth. This is because of the background work started about 10 days ago with a WhatsApp group. And she was keeping a watchful eye on the group and making sure that every role player is in line with the theme and well prepared for the meeting. She was encouraging the members, the role players, as well as appreciating their efforts to do the trainings required for such roles. Now, in addition to through background preparation, it is essential for the Toastmaster of the day to verify the presence of all role players in the Zoom room prior to the start of the meeting, even during the meeting. In case where a role player is unavailable, the Toastmaster should have a suitable replacement arranged in advance to ensure a seamless flow of the program and uphold the standard of excellence expected in the meeting. It is always essential to keep looking during the meeting that if any role player is missing, so that we can plan it beforehand, before knowing, and the background only. But overall, if you see today's meeting proved one thing: the courage to lead begins with the courage to serve, and our Toastmaster of the day embodied that perfectly. Over to you, General Evaluator.
I commend Toastmaster Paramjit on that succinct evaluation, and to be specific, how you've used examples of the leadership that I spoke about earlier, self-directed leadership throughout the organization of and the process that led to this meeting. I would have, however, challenge you when you're evaluating to also ensure, because this is also a speech, to ensure that you bring in the vocal variety. When something is exciting, let us be excited with you. For instance, when you talk about the excellence, let us see the excellence and be excited about it with you. And where there is a room for improvement, you can go on a neutral tone so that we too can see that emotion. And with that, we segue to the evaluation of the educational speaker, or that was done by Jyothi Thomas. And for Jyothi Thomas, the courage to lead is not about having a title. It's about quietly stepping up, doing what is right, and making a difference, even if one does not have the leader tag. At times when we feel diminished, choosing to rise despite that is true courage. Over to you, Toastmaster Jyothi Thomas.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the Day. Oh, sorry, General Evaluator. Gilda. Yes, courage is all that we need. And what I saw in your speech was not just courage, but the agility in which you shared your experience. You moved me from your authentic life from 26 straight into the lessons of leadership. What did I like and why? Authentic opening. You straight away asked, what is holding you back? That really brought me alive to think like, yeah, what is holding me back? You had the contrast of emotions, you said you were so excited when you were offered the job, the promotion, and then being intimidated. I related with it straight away. And nearly 3 to 4 times you mentioned the word intimidated. Structure was very clear. You gave it in 3 clear parts. You said the story would be in 3 parts, and you also said purpose. You defined purpose, the standards, the values that you truly brought out, and also the trust is the ability is what you mentioned, which is very memorable for me. It was a personal story. More than anything, what I truly liked was when you said culture, manager, leader. And you said in every place, one has to remember to make everybody else stand up, lift them up, and be there for them. At that point, I connected to it where I felt you said, it is your friend who asked you, can you? Do you have the scope? And it took me back when I wanted to quit, and I had 3 people right here, Rozy, Sandra, Gilda, who have asked me the same question. You can do it. You will do it. So you found good counsel. That is all about a keynote speech. It's so important. The big why that your friend Nina brought you back to the position you truly wanted to be in. What I wish I could have got more is, you mentioned to observe your transition, eye contact, and clarity of message. Clarity of message was fine. Transitions were also okay. But your body language, you moved far away from the computer. So I wish if you had come closer, I would have been able to see the articulate facial gestures, your eye contact, and your body language. That would be my ask. Overall, in summary, I would like to really say, you truly brought what it means to be a manager and a leader. You showed the lack. If we lack the inner courage, we will be lost. With all that, I would say it was a truly good keynote. Thank you very much, and congratulations for your next speech. Over to the Toastmaster of the day, General Evaluator. Oops, sorry.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jyothi. I connected with what I would call your connection with the speaker. Clearly, you had that conversation prior to this, and you were able to identify areas where you resonate with that message and you connect with that experience. One area that I saw, or I noticed that you can improve, is your Zoom presence. I saw, or I felt as if light was not coming from the correct angle. You can see what I'm doing with my light right now. If I change it, that is what I saw on your screen. And for Zoom presence, I recommend that you look into that for the next segment. We segue to the first speaker, evaluation of the first speaker, being done by Toastmaster Rozy Rana. And before she takes the stage, let me tell you what she had to say about this theme. Had I chosen comfort, I would not have attained the growth or honor and privilege of serving the most wonderful organization and teams I currently do. Or over to you, Rozy Rana.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters, moderating a panel truly requires many skills. It requires preparation, presence, agility, and grace. And today, Nicole excelled at all of this. She opened with a very concise opening where introducing her panelists. She had beautifully selected a varied panel of experts. She framed the theme very quickly around connection and allowing a lot of time to be spent on the actual conversation. And during the conversation, and this was a rich conversation because the panelists were experts. They, in their fields, they had research, they had credibility. It was engaging, it was fun because they shared experiences. And throughout, Nicole's presence stood out. She looked at them, she nodded attentively, she affirmed them, showing them that they were truly heard. Her agility, in fact, was evident as she moved seamlessly. And Nicole, I truly, truly admired how you kept the conversation balanced among all panelists, moving swiftly. So you didn't, in fact, you truly showcased that a panel moderation is not about me, the panel moderator, speaking the most, but really shining the light on the panelists. You did that really well. We saw so many notes on the chat showing how people were enjoying the takeaways, and there was rich conversation, big takeaways from, the power of silence to the grace to authenticity, connection being about sincerity. And there was that very powerful one about first connecting with self. I think you moderated excellently. If there's a consideration I would share to elevate this, it would be in some of the transitions. While you had beautiful transitions in many of the instances, you used repeatedly words such as absolutely, beautifully, or you were just repeating the last line of what someone had said. It could be more useful or more helpful to show you're truly listening by saying things like, that's profound, or those are powerful insights. Or when moving on to another one, let's hear another perspective, or let's hear another angle. I think that would have truly elevated the conversation. Even when you started, there was one time, I think it was to Vinod, when you said, I'd like you to tell me. A more inclusive language would have been, how about sharing your insights on connection? All in all, beautifully moderated, and I loved the close. You closed by reminding us that connection is about impact and legacy. So to summarize, very well done. Just elevate the transitions, and your moderation was balanced, graceful, authentic. Thank you so much. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you for the delivery of this evaluation. I found your approach effective in the sense that the panel discussion and Nicole, for this matter, has seen exactly where she excelled, especially in connecting with the audience and in moderating the whole panel session, and giving specific examples, especially in terms of the example that you gave where she can improve when we talk about the inclusive language. I would recommend, or I would, for instance, in your case, to help or to make your evaluation even more effective, I would also challenge you, similar to that the previous panel, the previous evaluator, to ensure that your screen is well managed, so that I can see all your expressions, just like I could see the panelists and the speaker that you evaluated. Thank you for that. We move to the second evaluator, that is Toastmaster Robin Stone. When asked about the theme, Toastmaster Robin said he finds leading very challenging. It really takes great courage. Over to you, Toastmaster Robin.
Thank you very much, Terrence, for that. And yes, evaluation also takes great courage too. And cheers to volunteerism, which other Nicole gave her speech on. I absolutely was sort of taken in and absorbed with the enthusiasm with which she approached this. She is and demonstrated she's a real volunteer and has experienced volunteerism throughout her life and continues to do so in all activities. And we're given a whole list of them for all for the benefit of other people. Church, as volunteering as a student, for children, activities at school and so on. And this is something which is to be commended, because not everybody does it. And I really loved the way that she actually engaged. I felt that Nicole was talking to me. and maybe it's the way we normally set up the spotlighting that comes across. I thought she used the Zoom presence very well. Good choice of words, like some rhetorical devices, talking about leadership, exhibiting competence, character and courage. All those attributes of leadership. This was truly an uplifting speech. And when it came to the toast, I was there. I actually lifted my cup as it is now and joined in that toast. I thought, wow, this is something that I can identify with as a volunteer myself. Also, I like the way, of course, she brought it into Leadership Speak. Everybody here in Toastmasters surely knows about volunteerism, so it could identify with it all. What I would say to you, Nicole, is the speech that succeeded yours, dealing with the pause, is something that perhaps you could take note of. I found you were very fast, and I had a little bit of difficulty in staying with you. So maybe just slow down the pace a bit. Perhaps in this case, less is more, and use the pause as well. But with that, I love your enthusiasm. Thanks so much. Now back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you for that evaluation. I found it effective that you mentioned the pause because I also observed the same, and it will go to add value to Nicole's future presentations. An area I can challenge you, or I would challenge you as you evaluate, is to spread out your evaluation so that at the green light, you're able to get into the areas of improvement, and probably before the yellow light, you're able to give the summary. This helps the speaker get an overview of how they performed instead of ending immediately after the areas of improvement. So the summary is important in this segment of evaluation. We move to the third and final evaluation for the speakers. This will be Toastmaster Ahsan Miko and not Toastmaster Holmes. Toastmaster Ahsan, are you there?
Hello, General Evaluator. Yes, I'm available.
Over to you.
Thank you, General Evaluator. Toastmaster Maryam. She's a passionate Toastmaster, and she has elaborated beautifully the power of pause that we often forget to implement. And she has connected leadership skills with her strong story. She started with a personal story, how Mr. Mohammed told her that you're not listening, you're just saying your things. That hit her, and that was the start of her actual story when she could understand self-awareness, how she's projecting herself onto another person with her personality, her actions, her words, her emotions. And that has taken her to her new understanding level, that self-awareness is not just another skill, it's a leadership skill. And she explained beautifully how she managed to give her response after what she receives, like the stimuli she said, and the response in between, we should add a pause, a well-deserved pause. that will allow us or any member here, the audience, so they can formulate or they reframe what kind of response they are going to give. Since the project was to focus on the positivity, and she explained beautifully how can your response be turned into a positive feedback, and the audience will accept and understand your thoughts, and your thoughts that will be reflected on the audience, and the audience will have the takeaway the speaker actually wanted to share with the audience. So that's how she connected her project. And she started with a personal story and ended with it. And she thoroughly explained how the pauses are beneficial for the communication skill. And in that way, I think she uh, managed her project very well. And there is not enough feedback for her, but sometimes I think she needed to pace the speech in a different way, so that sometimes, because her speech was very eloquent and she had very good pauses, but sometimes I think she needed to pace a little more, and sometimes needed to slow down. Most of it was in a regular or one tone or in one tempo, but she could apply a little bit of tempo in her speech so that it would connect or reconnect with the thoughts of the audience. Overall, it was a very good speech, and I think we have very good takeaway from the speaker. Thank you, and back to the general evaluator. Over to you.
And Nicole, I commend you on especially touching on something that we emphasize on at Leadership Speak, especially during evaluations. What is the audience takeaway? Simply because each and every speech is about the audience. If the audience gets their takeaway, then you have achieved the purpose as far as that is concerned as a speaker. However, I noticed during your presentation that your camera kept shifting around, and that was a bit distracting. I would encourage you, if you are able to access your laptop instead or place it on a stand, then there would be less distraction, especially when you're speaking. Thank you. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we move to the next step, which is the reports. First, I will call upon the timekeeper or the timer to post the timings on the chart. And as she does that, I will call upon the grammarian to give her report.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. As a new member of this club, it takes me a lot of courage to step up and to keep up with you at the same level as the members of Leadership Speak. But I was encouraged by Bram's words that we are not here to complement one another, but instead helping to improve. Therefore, let me start with phrases, sentences I have heard, I believe can be said better. Trust of our ability, I believe, could be said, I should say, trust in our ability. While Gilda, while you were speaking about your experience, your first experience in your workplace, you used many times the word people. Think of other nouns that you can use instead, like senior leadership team, senior managers, staff, team members, to elevate the use of your English language. Moving on, grab a breath. I think it should be said, catch a breath. Next one I have a long list of beautiful, wonderful expressions, but it would take beyond 2 minutes. But I would want to list just a few. Do you want to chime in? Was a question that our panelist used. Connection is a skill and not a trait. Leading up versus leading across. Being dual-minded. Lead yourself first. Managing versus leading. A one-size-fits-all approach. Self-awareness. It's a great word to use. I also heard the great expression, she framed the theme. To our panelists, Donna, Edith, Vinod, I want to say, while it is challenging to be on the spot and immediately give voice to your thoughts, please consider to use less filler words like you know, I mean, and slowing down can help with that. Generally, to wrap up, generally speaking, let's think of other words that we can use instead of having or being, such as I was intimidated, I was fearful, I felt intimidated. Thank you. That's my report for today.
Thank you for the report, Sonja. And as I comment on Sonja's report, I will call upon the Zoom master to launch the polls. Sonja, thank you for sharing the report, and thank you for taking this role. I believe this was your first time you did it effectively. One thing I also observed is that you went beyond the simple call of duty. You are able to post this not only in the chat here on Zoom, but also in the chat on the group. And that is engaging. It helps us build up. And that's why you saw we're able to start using the word way before the meeting started being recorded, or the recording started. One area I would challenge you is especially on the time. To help keep it brief, you can pick the main points. For instance, you can pick, maybe right now we can talk about how many times the word of the day was used, and then pick 1 or 2 areas that we excelled at in the use of the English language, and maybe 1 area that we can improve. And then the rest can be shared in form of the written report. As the poll is running, I will deliver my overall report. As self-directed leaders, this meeting always starts on time. For you who may have joined on time, you might have missed a part which was mentioned, for instance, by the evaluator who evaluated the Toastmaster of the day. There's a lot of collaboration that goes on in the background. I also observed that, and one thing, for instance, that you may not be aware is how many times these changes were made prior to this. And I commend the Toastmaster of the day and the leadership speaker in their collaboration to the extent that we were able to handle those mishaps and those opportunities of improvement in the way that we did, to the extent that we got to this point where we had excellent execution of the meeting. As I looked at the delivery of, or as I watched the delivery of the speeches, or let me start from the onset, I would like to commend the enthusiasm and the connection, which, if I can call it that we saw in the beginning of the meeting. We happened to have two greeters, which has never happened in the lifetime of a leadership speak. But I believe that happened simply because both of them were really prepared and they were really enthusiastic about this role. For us, an area we can improve as leaders, especially in terms of the evaluations, is in terms of the timing. You'll notice that you have a speech that runs maybe up to 20 minutes, but the time requirement is still 3 to 4 minutes, or rather 2 to 3 minutes. How are you able to squeeze that evaluation into that? How are you able to pack it? Well, this is how I do it, or how you can do it. Keep your comments brief and to the point, so that, for instance, the formalities such as greetings and expressing your gratitude to the person who hands over to you is not necessary. You can cut down or cut back on that so that you get effectively into your evaluation. That will help you summarize your evaluation before the yellow card, for instance, if that is your approach, so that by the time the red card flashes, you're still well within time and you can wind up at that point in case you've already delivered all your points. For the speakers, I commend all of you. You demonstrated excellence in your delivery, in your organization, and in connecting with the audience. You have noticed from all the speakers, there was an aspect of connecting, from posing to engaging with the audience through the panel discussions, and a toast within the speeches. So that was effective, and it connected in one way or another to the courage to lead, taking us back to taking us back to the theme. And for us to make it even more effective as leaders and as speakers is to make sure that when we are having a role, that we are there on time and that we are able to step in, as I saw several leaders taking up that baton. For instance, I can mention when there was a challenge, Homesteng took up the role and helped us in starting off the evaluation. When the meeting began, we saw Buhari taking up a role despite not being on the agenda, and that was commendable. And as we also saw Leah taking up another role because she was prepared for that. And in any meeting, in any session, there are likely to be mishaps, and that kind of preparation helps us effectively deliver on our role, on our mandate, and give value to the audience. Above all, I would commend all the leadership speakers. Let's keep working on that area, and let's keep delivering and keep pushing towards excellence. At this point, I will hand the meeting back to the Toastmaster of the day, Sandra Valks. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Terrence. What a complete job you just done. Hose up for language. It did. For Maryam's done. She'll be agile. Anyhow, this is my chance to just be coming back to the general part of the meeting and congratulate everyone. I wanted to particularly mention that the speakers and evaluators, everyone involved, as they were being introduced, provided the introduction that was asked for. And I hope everyone noticed also that every speaker who spoke had a crafted introduction that set the audience up for how to be listening. And I just felt really good delivering those introductions and being able to keep the energy going. And I could see the audience really buying in and getting engaged. And that serves the speaker as well as the audience. So well done. Thank you. We're going to move into the thought of the day with Nellie Ayodo. Nellie appreciates that through the process of stepping up in courage, the leader becomes transformed. Hear that one more time? By stepping up in courage, the leader becomes transformed. Nellie, would you share your thoughts for today, please? Nellie?
The courage to lead tests our agility. It is the ability to take up leadership with full responsibility and accountability. To be courageous means exposing your vulnerability by admitting mistakes and asking for help and connecting authentically with others. The courage to lead enables one to inspire and empowers others to lead too. In the process, the leader is transformed. This is what we practice at Leadership Speak, where leaders take on the challenge to stretch beyond their comfort zone. It enhances our authenticity and builds our trust. It turns ordinary into extraordinary. True leadership lies in the quiet courage to hear our inner self. Taking up leadership positions is building trust in our abilities and with others. This is where transformation happens. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Iota. Beautifully put. Beautifully put. Summarizing the day and the theme. Once again, guests, I'm going to ask you to make sure you've signed the book. And we're going to ask also now for the awards for the best effort speaker and the best effort evaluator. What are the results of the polls? And while we're waiting, oh, there he is. Oh, best evaluator, Jyothi Thomas. Well done. Congratulations. Rozy Rana, best evaluator. Ha! Two of them, nose to nose. Congratulations. Best speaker, Nicole Whyte, with your panel. That was a huge effort. Congratulations. I guess that was it. Round of applause for all of our meeting role players, period, but especially for the two of you, three of you. As we've heard, leadership is not about being fearless. It's about choosing courage, even when the outcome is uncertain. Each time you step up to this lectern, you are practicing that courage. That's the real work that's done here at Leadership Speak, finding our inner courage to grow and help others grow, and so that we can continue choosing courage over comfort day by day. Every time we choose courage over fear, we strengthen our ability to lead. And leadership begins on the inside. That's why it's the inner courage. And the courage is the spark. And today, everyone lit it up. Congratulations. I'm going to hand it over now to our president, Holmes Ting, to speak with our guests and give his words of wisdom. Holmes?
Thank you so much, Sandra. I'd like to speak with a few guests as well as some of our newer members. I'll start off with guests who have signed up in the guest book. Sashini Stone, are you available to speak?
Yes, I am. Hello, Mr. President.
Hello, hello. Hey, how do you find the meeting today? What inspired you?
Well, I have to say, I saw that the panel discussion was going to happen, and I really wanted to see and hear the thoughts of different global leaders. And I was not disappointed at all. It was such a rich, engaging conversation. I'm so happy I came. I messaged Nicole and say I can't wait to join. It was amazing.
Great. Thank you so much, Sashini. I saw that you have indicated that you are interested in joining the club. We'll have one of our executive committee members reach out to you. Thank you so much, Sashini. I'll move on to some of the other guests.
Thank you.
Gabby, are you available? So you turn on your camera.
Apologies.
Gabby, you need to unmute again.
There she goes.
Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Thank you for allowing me in here. I am really learning a lot from these meetings. I'm not eligible to join because I haven't completed my path, but I am working on it. I'm a new Toastmaster, and somebody sent an invite, and I come in whenever I can. And all the speeches are very powerful. And the one about knowing yourself, and I've been a leader, and knowing my purpose, that was just really powerful. And I appreciate you guys so much. And I'm near Philadelphia, and I don't know how many of you were at the recent convention here, but I'm planning on going to Vancouver. So I'm sure that next August I'll be meeting some of you. But you guys really rock, and you have this thing down. So I appreciate you. Thank you. I'll join as soon as I complete and am eligible.
Thank you so much, Gabby. We look forward to you continuing to come here to visit us as a guest, and then eventually, maybe one day as a member. Thank you so much, Gabby. Tracy, are you available to speak?
Hello. Yes, I am available.
Hi, Tracy. How do you find the meeting?
I found it really interesting, the different topics, and all the speeches were really inspirational. The one by Miss Nicole was especially touching. And I really enjoyed today's session. I'm similar to Gabby. I also don't qualify to become a member because I'm only a level 1 Toastmaster speaker, but I would like to qualify one day in order to join.
Thank you so much, Tracy. We welcome you as a guest to continue visiting us and perhaps one day as a member. Enjoy your meeting so far.
Thank you.
So I'd like to speak out to one or two members who are doing their roles for the very first time, or even one of their very first roles. Sonia, yes, it's you.
Thank
How do
you,
you find a
Holmes.
challenge today?
Yes, it is challenging. It is a little bit nerve-wracking, but this is the whole point of joining Leadership Speak in order to level up, step up, and keep up with the members of this Toastmasters club. It has been a great experience, wonderful support, and I feel excited to move forward and to progress with all of you.
Thank you so much, Sonia. Looking forward to your next role, your next speech already. Another one of our new members who is doing her role for the very first time, not her first role, but for the first time today, is Nelly J. Zoom Master is not the easiest role. There is a lot of configuration. How do you find a Zoom Master today?
Yeah, I initially thought it's the simplest role for me because I know about the Zoom and thing, but things happen. Life is full of surprises, and I really learned a lot in this meeting, and I'll definitely make this role again. And let me listen with a smile.
Smiles are the best.
Good, Nelly. I'm looking forward. Okay, those are the few people I'd like to spotlight for now. I noticed the time we already passed 12. I'd like to hand back over to Toastmasters of the Day, Sandra, to adjourn the meeting first, and then we can continue a conversation after the meeting has adjourned. Sandra, over to you.
Thank you so much, President Holmes Tang. Thanks goes out to all of our guests, and another amazing meeting to all the members here attending and participating and keeping the chat going. Make sure you give feedback wherever you can. Zoom Master, please stop